Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises says it's written to Minister Lynn Brown asking her to brief the committee on the suspension of Eskom CEO and 3 other senior executives. Committee Chairperson Dipou Letsatsi-Duba says they heard about the suspension through the media. He says it's important for the committee to be fully briefed on the latest developments at Eskom as soon as possible. Well, for more on Eskom suspensions, we are joined in the studio by Professor Tshepo Mongalo from Wits School of Law. Thank you very much for talking to us right here on PM News.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, let's look at the suspensions. They most probably took everybody by storm, and nobody expected that this could happen at such crunch time for Eskom.
Definitely. I mean, when I heard of the suspension this morning, I was like everybody else in the corporate world, a little bit shocked by the suspension. And we were asking ourselves questions as to what could have led to the suspension and what is it that the state-owned company is actually thinking with regard to the suspension. And therefore, no details were forthcoming, except that it is only to do to investigate certain conduct within the public entity.
At the moment, we should be hearing about stability in Eskom because
Exactly.
we didn't foresee that there could be any suspension at this moment because load shedding has subsided and we are looking forward to Medupi stations being online as we talked about synchronization. Now, with this suspension and the management saying that it's not for maladministration, wrongdoing or corruption, is it a question of incompetence?
Well, at the moment, it is everybody's guess. But as you know, the reputation of every executive is actually a commodity to every executive. And for an executive to be suspended, from corporate governance perspective, there should be some form of a reason, because, I mean, that goes down in your profile as being one of the things that have happened in your life as an executive. And therefore, being suspended is actually a serious and drastic decision that could be taken against you as a person. And therefore, I think that there must be a reason that we are not being told at Eskom for this suspension, because suspension is quite, although it is not the same as dismissal, it is still a drastic step from a corporate governance perspective.
Professor, 2 things come to mind. Last year, Tiriso Matuna said that there was no crisis at Eskom, and he admitted now that they have not been following their maintenance plan at Eskom. Do you think these are some of the factors that could have been part of the reasons for suspension?
It's very much likely. You must remember that the load shedding actually may have exposed a lot of problems that may have been taking place within the state-owned company, and therefore that could be one of the reasons that it has led to the suspension. But at the moment, it's everybody's guess. We are waiting to hear from the board as to what are the reasons, but I'm pretty much convinced that they are the reasons for suspension.
Let's step into the war room. Government announced intervention into the troubles of Eskom, the bailout, the assistance announced by Minister Ntlantla during the budget speech, that Eskom is going to get help, assistance with regard to the interventions of the Treasury Department led by Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Yeah, well, I mean, that had to be done. I mean, you couldn't, I mean, the minister couldn't avoid it, because that would have meant that we could be headed for the blackout, and I don't think that would have been in anybody's interest, and that is, I think, something that could not have been avoided.
Mm-hmm. Now let's look at integrity of Eskom. You've talked about the integrity of a senior executive. Now, the integrity of Eskom as an organization, their ability to borrow money for their projects. How do you think that is going to really create an impression about it as a state institution, as a parastatal, given that the ratings agencies also have their eyes on that kind of institution?
Most definitely, and you must remember that at the moment, with the suspension of the executives, it means that we are having a ship without the pilot, and we were having a ship without a pilot in a situation where there's very serious challenges that are facing the organization. And therefore, the rating agencies are obviously going to look at happenings like this within the entity and say that there seems to be stability, and as a result, they may actually further tighten the ratings, which may actually make it difficult for Eskom to be able to gain any any funding at favorable terms.
All right, let's leave it there. Thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
All right, Professor Tshepo Mongalo of Wits University talking to us about the breaking news of Eskom's top brass being suspended right here on PM News and on to other issues.